Your to-do list is keeping you stuck, sis. And right now, even though you're checking off the boxes, nothing is changing, right? So let's talk about why your productivity addiction is blocking your breakthrough, okay? Because there is an illusion around progress through busyness. And we talk a lot here on this channel about the traumatic response, or this being a trauma response when you're staying busy, being busy, but nothing's really happening because you're not dealing with the deeper rooted information or the issues as to where the problems stem from, right? So we talk a lot about that on this channel. But today, I really want to focus the conversation around the illusion of progress through busyness, meaning you're feeling productive, but nothing's really moving, right? Like you're doing a lot of work, you're doing all the things, you're wearing all the hats, you're here, there, and everywhere, you're moving and shaking and going and doing and moving and grooving and all of that. And then you look up and you're like, but what did I really accomplish? And the reality is that you're feeling productive because you're being busy, but nothing's really happening, right? And that is because there is a such thing as there being an addiction to achievement. And that's been normalized. Being addicted to achieving the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and not like really staying in the space that you're in until you are actually seeing some momentum with, you know, where it is you really want to be, what your desired outcome is, instead of you just kind of moving on to the next and the next and the next thing, which again goes back to what I spoke about shortly ago, and that is the productivity situation of you being busy just to be busy, not realizing that there are deeper issues that you're not yet addressing, right? So we've got to deal with that first, because it's when we assess those issues and like really understand on a deeper level what's really going on, we can deal with that, we can address it, we can heal it, we can fix it, right? Whatever the problem or problems are. And then from there, we're able to move on. But right now, you're kind of in that addiction to achievement mode. And again, that's been normalized. And it's been especially normalized in hustle culture, which I'll talk about here shortly, but also true for high achieving women of all walks of life, but particularly Black and Brown women. Okay. We do really fall into this trap of the to-do list, right? We've got to get it done. To do. What's on the list? Did we check this off? Did we check this off? Did we check this off? But did you know the list keeps growing and growing and growing because it's a never-ending cycle of to-dos, right? Let's get it done. Okay. Instead of adding more to-dos, let's go ahead and check it off and be done with it. And the reason, though, for this, especially again for high achieving women, is because it feels safer. It's because it's familiar territory. It's what we know. It's how we grew up. It's what we've learned. It's what societal standards says it should be, right? We're praised for this, especially in hustle culture. And really, control is more comfortable than surrendering that, having that control, right? Or that sense of control, because the reality is we are not in control of everything, right? We can only be in control of what we can be in control of. But we want to be in control of more things, especially if you are a high achiever or even an overachiever, dare I say, right? But definitely someone who has a type A personality, an ambitious woman. And those are all the types of women that I work with, and particularly, so I see this happening a lot. Control is more comfortable than surrender. Now, I want to talk about the cost of hustle without healing, because we don't talk enough about healing, but we talk a lot about hustle culture, right? So I want to tell you, and you may know this if you've already experienced or maybe experiencing this now as you are hearing the sound of my voice, but all that leads to hustling without healing, right, is exhaustion, resentment, disconnection from your purpose, burnout. You know, you're just your avoidance is disguised as action. Your avoidance is disguised as action. You need not to continue to avoid the things that you've been avoiding. And I actually talked about that in another video that I'll make sure you have access to. But we've got to deal with the problems and not avoid the actual problems, because we're never going to make the kind of progress or reach the level that we want to reach, right? The success level, that is, if we don't deal with doing the inner work first. And that does require you to do some very difficult things that are like, looking yourself in the mirror, holding up a mirror to yourself. And you can do that, like, I mean, literally or figuratively speaking, reflecting on, writing down those things, those emotions that are coming up for you, right? Those things that you have been avoiding, where that might stem from. But guess what? You can start this work by yourself, but you can't really you don't necessarily know the right questions or the deeper questions that's going to get you the more profound answers that you need in order to move forward on and down a different path, right? If you don't get the help. So do not be afraid to get the support you need from, and therapy is great. So is a holistic business coach like myself, right? Who has an RN, a healthcare background as a registered nurse. That's the work that I do. So I do, I have conversations around, healing, that deeper inner work mindset, right? And I'm using excuse me, I'm using healing. I got the hiccups all of a sudden. I'm using healing as a strategy. And so, and that's really important, because that is the work that we need to do, especially if we're coming from hustle culture, corporate America, just the upbringings that we had about working excessively hard, and Black excellence and all of these things. Again, if you identify as a Black woman or even a brown woman, and if not, then just women collectively, we have had to bear the burden of so much that goes on, just in our surroundings and in our family dynamics and so on and so forth, right? So we as women collectively understand that that's problematic. It has been for a long time with us, but for us, but more specifically, women who are of, who are brown skinned women, we really have bared the burden of not only what's going on in our families, but also what's happening in this country and in our communities. And that is a lot to take on. Okay. So now, before we go any further, if you're getting what I'm giving and you love these gems I'm dropping, go ahead and leave a comment below so we can get this discussion popping. I want to continue the conversation, the dialogue beyond this video. It's important to me that we have these conversations. I want to know where you are in the journey, in life, in business, what's working for you, what's not. Feel free, feel open. If you are open enough to share your story, please feel free to do so. And also know that this is a safe space. But if you don't feel safe in an open forum discussing something, that's private so publicly, feel free to reach out to me personally. In fact, I'm going to offer you a resource here shortly so you can do that very thing. But first, I want to kind of get back to what we're talking about here, because I want to address, oh, and let me just say, if you are enjoying the content here, by the way, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode whenever I drop new content and or go live. Okay, now I want to talk about how to realign what actually does move the needle. Okay, because I want to always talk about what the problems are, but I'm a kind of person, the coach, that's always in solution mode, because that's what we do after all as coaches, right? We know what the problem is, we're aware of that, but what is the actual solution? And that's why you're here. It's like, okay, this sounds familiar, this is helpful, but what do I need to do about it? Well, the first thing I want you to address is to get clarity over the clutter. Okay, we've got to declutter your mind, declutter the junk that's inside, get clear of those things, get the insight that we need in order to know how we need to succeed in life and in business. Clarity is always first. Without that, we're just out there doing things, as they say, willy-nilly, which is always such a funny saying to me, but doing things haphazardly, making poor decisions, right? Being a bad judge of character and all of these things. And we're not helping ourselves, right? So clarity is always first. Then you want to have strategy and structure over scatter. And why? Because right now you're just pulling out scattered parts and pieces and trying to Frankenstein your business. And you know what they said about Frankenstein, and you know that whole story of Frankenstein, right? If you're familiar at all, if you're my age as a Gen Xer, you definitely know about Frankenstein. He was pieced together. They created a monster, and then that monster turned on them, right? You don't want that for your business. And right now, that's what's happening. Your business is draining you, it's exhausting you, and it's not getting you to the place that you once anticipated or envisioned for yourself to be right now at this big old age and phase and stage of both your life and your business. And so you feel stuck, right? And so we want to get you out of this funk and this rut right now. So we got to dive deeper, got to get clarity, and we've got to stop working with the scattered pieces and get structure in our business, and certainly effective strategies that's going to help you move the needle forward. So those are some of the things that you need to do to be realigned or to get aligned in your business, okay? Also, success comes from internal alignment. It doesn't come from external motion. Success comes from internal alignment, not from external motion. And I always like to say, in the work that I do, is that I help you to heal internally so that you can expedite your external success. That's what I do as a holistic business coach and an RN health and wellness educator. So we always want to address those internal demons, right? And those things that we are going through, those difficulties, those traumas, the reasons why we are responding and reactive to the things that we are responsive and reactive to in the ways that we are, right? That's not helping us, that's not serving us. We've got to set boundaries. We've got to get rid of things that just don't help us in any form or fashion, right? And to know that, we have to do the deeper mindset work, the deeper healing work, the internal work. And that's why I say the internal healing and the internal work, peeling back those layers and going deeper, making that connection on a deeper level, it's what's going to really help us move the needle quicker, faster, and sooner. Now, I want you to know that if you're ready right now to trade burnout for breakthrough, I want you to hop on to book or a freedom. I almost forgot what I was calling it because I was calling it something else for a while, but it's different. Okay. It's a freedom and focus clarity call because I do want you to get the clarity that you need so we can put you on your path to freedom in a way that you could never, or maybe only imagine up until this point, right? But we're going to map out things like where you are now, where it is you ultimately want to be, and how we are going to get you there. So get the clarity that you need, the insight that you need. It's going to be an enlightening conversation. And then we can talk about all the ways in which I can help to support you and get you there. Okay. So I'm going to leave the link in the comments, the pinned comment below. Go ahead and click that. Get on my schedule as soon as you can so that we can stop the whole burnout cycle and get you focused, laser focused, crystal clear, and what your next steps are and how you're going to get from point A to point B or further along, okay, to your ultimate transformation, because that's what this is all about. It's not about information overload or just giving you the information you need. It's about how am I going to actually get the whole transformation? And that's what you want, and that's what I want for you, okay? Also, the Job Liberation Virtual Summit replay is available now if you did not attend live. And even if you did, I highly recommend for you to get the replay to the All Access Pass for sure, because it gives you a year's worth of so much content, so much information, and the transformation, the information you need to make the transformation and really put yourself on a freedom path, okay, which is what we're ultimately doing here. There were over 20 speakers there, myself included. I was one of the featured speakers. So honored. Thank you. And shout out to Dr. Kamani Norrington Sands of Lifting as We Climb, as well as Marissa Price of Marissa Price Heals. Okay. Those are the two ladies who hosted and are the founders of and the creators of the Job Liberation Virtual Summit. And this was the second annual event that they put on, and it was nothing short of amazing and epic. Okay. But we're going to show you how to lead with ease, embrace ease, not endless to-do lists, right? So I want you to grab your copy today. And in order to do that, you have to obviously purchase the replay. Or if you're not a woman who identifies as a Black woman, that's okay. Please do share this out with others in your community, in your circle, in your inner network, okay? Because this is the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you so much. I appreciate you in advance for sharing, because sharing is caring, all right? Now, that's my time. I'm going to tune out while you tune in. Be sure to share this video out with at least 3 friends and make sure you watch the next video that YouTube recommends, okay? As always, and until next time, I am wholeheartedly in this journey with you. Bye for now.